Hello and welcome back to another deep dive. This is Building Humans, and as always, we are incredibly proud to be sponsored by the Al-Mahaba Foundation and Dar el-Kalima Publishing.
It's great to be back.
Today,
Yeah.
we are looking at something that, honestly, when I first read the title in our source stack, I thought it had to be a typo or maybe a metaphor. But, definitely not a literal proposal.
It does sound a bit poetic, doesn't it? But as we've learned with this material, the poetry, it usually hides a very sharp, very practical sword.
It does.
Yeah.
So we are diving into a concept that Maria Montessori proposed at the very end of the Copenhagen Congress. She stood up before the world, before educators, diplomats, scientists, and called for, get this, the party of the child.
Right.
Now, when I hear party, I think politics. I think left versus right, liberals versus socialists, campaign slogans and power grabbing.
Correct.
So my immediate question, and I think the listener's question is, was she serious? Did she literally want toddlers running for parliament? Or is this just a nice way of saying, hey, everyone, pay attention to kids?
It's the right question to ask, and it brings us right to the heart of the matter.
Yeah.
And to answer you simply, she was deadly serious.
Wow.
It wasn't a metaphor. It wasn't poetry. It was a declaration of a social emergency.
Yeah.
But she wasn't asking for toddlers in the Senate.
Okay.
She was asking for adults to organize themselves politically and socially on behalf of the child.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Oh.
Why a party?
Oh.
Why use that specific loaded word?
Because of the historical context.
Yes.
Think about the last century. You had workers forming unions because they were being exploited in factories.
Right, they needed a collective voice.
They realized that without that voice, they were powerless against the owners. Then you had women fighting for suffrage, organizing to get the vote, to be recognized as full citizens. Montessori looked at the world landscape and asked, who is left? Who is the one demographic that has no vote, no union, no lobbyist, and no voice in the halls of power?
The child.
Exactly. The child is what she calls the forgotten citizen.
The forgotten citizen.
We have built an entire civilization where the child is essentially a mute subject. They are impacted by every law we pass, every building we construct, and every war we wage, but they have absolutely no say in any of it.
So, the party of the child isn't about kids playing politics.
No.
It's about adults realizing that they must form this party to represent this silent majority.
The silent majority, precisely. And if we don't speak for them, no one will. And if no one speaks for them, the consequences are disastrous, not just for the child, but for the adult world too.
But hold on. I'm going to play the devil's advocate here. Do we really need a specific party for this? Parents love their kids. Governments have schools. We have pediatricians.
Yeah.
We have tax credits for families. It feels like we are already obsessed with children. Why did Montessori feel this was a crisis?
That is the paradox. And Montessori had a very specific, very stinging term for what you just described. She called it moral schizophrenia.
Moral schizophrenia.
Yeah.
Wow. That is not pulling any punches.
No, she never did. The diagnosis of moral schizophrenia is this. We claim to love our children. We dote on them. We buy them toys. We say they are the future. We take photos of them.
All true.
But simultaneously, we build a world that is fundamentally hostile to their nature. We love the idea of the child, but we suppress the reality of the child.
Hostile in what way? Because I'm thinking of parks and playgrounds.
Yeah.
Surely those are built for them.
Think bigger. Think about the power dynamic. Montessori introduces this incredible metaphor of the giants.
The giants. Okay, paint the picture for us.
Imagine you are 2 feet tall. You live in a world designed for people who are 6 feet tall. To a small child, an adult is a giant. We are physically massive. We are incredibly strong. We move fast.
And we're unpredictable.
And most importantly, we are unpredictable. We control every single aspect of their existence: when they eat, when they sleep, what they wear, where they go.
When you put it that way, it sounds less like a loving home and more like, a totalitarian regime.
To a child, it often feels that way. We are these giants who swoop in and interrupt their deep concentration because we have to go to the store now.
Right.
We suppress their natural movements because it's too loud, or don't touch that, or sit still. We don't do it out of malice. We do it because we are busy or tired or just don't understand their development. But the result is suppression.
So we are the giants crushing the little people without even realizing we're stepping on them.
Exactly. We act as if the child's life is just a waiting room for adulthood rather than a valid existence in itself, and this is where the stakes get really high. Montessori argues that because we act as these suppressive giants, because of this moral schizophrenia, we end up producing what she calls mutilated men.
Mutilated men, that's a graphic image.
She's talking about spiritual mutilation. If a child's will is constantly broken, if their natural development is constantly interrupted by the giant, they don't just get over it. They grow up to be adults who are insecure, dependent, aggressive, or lacking in creativity. They're spiritually damaged because their childhood potential was crushed. And here is the kicker. These mutilated men are the ones running our world.
Which explains a lot about the state of the world, actually. If the people running the show are spiritually damaged, the show is going to be a mess.
It explains everything. She uses another metaphor here that is just brilliant. The palace on a volcano.
I love these images. What does the palace on a volcano represent?
The palace is our civilization. We build these magnificent structures, art, science, technology, complex economies. It's beautiful. We are very proud of our palace.
Yeah.
But we build it on a foundation of human development that we have completely ignored. The child. That's the volcano.
So the foundation isn't just weak. It's explosive.
Exactly. If the human foundation is weak, if we are raising mutilated men, then the ground underneath the palace is unstable. It doesn't matter how beautiful the palace is. If the volcano erupts, if the human spirit collapses into war or apathy, the whole civilization comes down.
So the party of the child isn't just about being nice to kids. It's about structural engineering for civilization. It's about stabilizing the volcano so the palace doesn't burn.
Precisely. It is a survival strategy for the species. If we want the palace to stand, we have to tend to the volcano.
Okay, so let's get practical. Say we form this party. We acknowledge the moral schizophrenia. We admit we are giants. What are the demands? Is there a platform? Because usually when we talk about government and kids, we talk about the Ministry of Education.
And this is the crucial distinction. Montessori wasn't asking for a better Ministry of Education. She was demanding a Ministry for Childhood.
What's the difference? Isn't education covering childhood?
Not at all. Think about it. A Ministry of Education is usually concerned with the student. And when does a child become a student in the eyes of the state?
Usually around age 6, right?
Yeah,
First
right.
grade, maybe 5 for kindergarten.
Right. Age 6. But Montessori science and modern neuroscience backs this up 100%. Tells us that the most critical formation of the human personality happens from 0 to 6.
The most important years.
So the Ministry of Education effectively ignores the most important years of life. They only care about the child once they can sit at a desk and produce work. A Ministry for Childhood would be responsible for the human being from the moment of birth.
That is a huge shift. So instead of just worrying about test scores or literacy rates, this ministry worries about what?
Life.
Huh.
Civil rights. The right to exist. Let's go back to the environment. Look at our cities. Who are they built for?
Adults. Definitely adults.
The stairs are too high, the shelves are out of reach, the traffic makes it deadly to walk freely. There are no public toilets for children. In the modern city, the child is treated as an intruder or a nuisance.
Oh, absolutely.
If you take a toddler into a serious public space, people look at you like, why is that thing here?
Oh, I have felt that look. Control your child. Keep them quiet. It makes you want to just stay home.
Right. And Montessori says this is a civil rights violation. A Ministry for Childhood would look at urban planning and say, no, you cannot build the street unless it is safe for a 3-year-old. It would demand that society is physically adapted to the child, not the other way around.
It's almost like the Americans with Disabilities Act, but for children, recognizing that they have different physical needs and we have to accommodate them by law.
That is a perfect analogy, and it goes deeper than just ramps and stairs. It's about protecting what Montessori calls the spiritual embryo.
The spiritual embryo. We've touched on this in previous deep dives, but remind us of the core idea here.
The human infant is born physically separate from the mother, but spiritually they are still an embryo. They are incomplete.
Okay.
They have to incubate their personality, their will, and their intelligence in those first few years. This spiritual embryo is incredibly fragile. If the environment is harsh, if the giants are oppressive, the embryo is damaged.
So the ministry's job is protection.
Yes. The ministry's job is to protect the rights of this developing spirit, ensuring it has the peace and freedom to grow. It's not about teaching them ABCs, it's about allowing them to become human.
I'm starting to see why she called it a party. This is a radical platform. It challenges the way we build everything. But here's where I get skeptical again. Politics is divisive. If we have a party of the child, won't it just become another thing for people to fight about? Oh, you're with the child's party. Well, I'm with the economic growth party.
That is the brilliance of her proposal. She argued that the party of the child is the only entity that can actually unify the world.
How so? Politics usually splits people apart.
Because politics divide, but the child unites. She introduces the concept of the single nation.
The single nation, meaning humanity.
Yes. She argues that we are artificially divided by borders and flags, but if you look at the life cycle of the human being, we are one nation, and the child is the link that holds us together.
Okay.
She uses a beautiful metaphor here to explain how society works, the story of the baker and the miner.
I love a good story. Tell us about the baker and the miner.
It's a parable of interdependence. Imagine a coal miner working deep underground in the dark. He is digging coal, sweating, working hard to make a living.
Not just for himself. He digs coal so it can fuel the ovens of the baker.
Yeah.
And the baker stands in the heat, baking bread. Why? So the miner can eat. They never meet. They don't know each other's names. But they are absolutely dependent on each other for survival.
They are part of a system. They serve each other without knowing it.
They are part of a cosmic task. And Montessori says the child has a cosmic task too. The child works in the shadows, in the quiet years of infancy, to build something crucial.
What are they building?
They are building the adult. This is the great inversion. We usually think we build the child. I made you, I raised you.
Right.
But she flips it. The child builds the adult. The child is the worker who constructs humanity. And because every adult was once a child and every adult relies on the next generation of children, we are all connected in this loop. The child is the universal citizen of the single nation.
It gives me chills when you put it that way. The child isn't just a small person. They are the construction worker of the human soul. Exactly. And because of this universality, she calls the child the meeting point, or in even more provocative language, the child messiah.
The child messiah. That is a loaded term. Is she being religious?
She uses it carefully. She doesn't mean it in a strict theological sense, but in a redemptive one. Think about a peace conference. You have an Englishman, a Russian, and a German. In the context of her time and ours, they might disagree on everything.
Borders, trade, ideology.
Everything. They are enemies, but they all love their children.
That is the one common ground.
It is the only solid ground. If you can get them to stop looking at their borders and start looking at the needs of their children, the hostility evaporates. They all want a safe future for their offspring. This shared love is the only solid foundation for a science of peace.
Science of peace. So peace isn't just about signing treaties. It's about prioritizing the one thing we all actually care about.
Correct. If we build the world for the child, if the party of the child succeeds, we inadvertently build a world that is peaceful for everyone. You can't have a war if you are truly prioritizing the safety of the child. You can't have economic exploitation if you are protecting the spiritual embryo. The child forces us to be better.
It's really shifting the center of gravity of the entire world. Instead of the center being money or power, the center becomes the child.
And that brings us back to the silent majority. They are waiting for us to make that shift. They are waiting for us to stop being the giants and start being their representatives.
So this brings us to the inevitable conclusion. I'm listening to this. I'm fired up. I want to join the party. Where do I sign up? Is there a website? Can I get a bumper sticker?
No website, no membership card. There's no registration form.
I figured as much. So how do we join? What is the practical application of this high-level philosophy?
You join by changing your perception. You join by becoming the lawyer for the child in your everyday life.
Give me an example. What does that look like on a Tuesday morning?
It looks like this. You're walking down the street and you see a child struggling to climb a high step. The parent is rushing them, maybe yanking their arm. The giant is taking over.
Yeah.
Joining the party means you stop. Maybe you help. Or maybe in your own interactions with your own children, you pause. You realize, I am being the giant right now. You slow down. You advocate for their pace.
It's about noticing the design flaws in the world and in ourselves.
Yeah.
And trying to fix them.
Yes. When you see a library that has no books at eye level for a 4-year-old, you speak up. When you see a school system that forces children to sit still for 6 hours, you advocate for movement. You become the voice for the voiceless. That is the platform of the party.
It's a heavy responsibility, but it sounds like the most important work we could possibly do.
It is. Because if we protect the child, we aren't just being nice, we are protecting the future of the species. We are moving away from a world of mutilated men and towards a world of whole, intact human beings.
And whole humans don't start wars.
Whole humans don't destroy their environment. That is the ultimate goal.
It's a beautiful vision. And I hate to be the one to ask the how question again. Realizing we need to do this is one thing. Knowing how to do it, how to actually educate and raise this whole human is another. We have the party, but do we have the plan?
We do, and that is exactly where Montessori goes next. She has given us the philosophy, the party. Now she reveals the method.
The method.
And she explains it using one of the most magical comparisons in her entire body of work. Next time, we are going to talk about the buried jewel.
Ooh, the buried jewel. I like the sound of that.
It's a fascinating look at how we discover the hidden potential inside the child. It's not about putting things in, it's about discovering what is already buried there.
Well, I am certainly looking forward to unearthing that jewel in our next deep dive.
You'll be a good one.
For those of you who want to join the party of the child right now, who want to understand the manifesto of this silent majority, remember that the full text we are discussing, Education in Peace, is available. You can find it through our friends at Dar El Kalema Publishing. It's a dense read, but as you can tell, it changes the way you see the world.
Absolutely. It's a manual for a new civilization.
Thank you again for helping us navigate these giant concepts. And thank you to our listeners for being part of this single nation.
Remember, the work starts in your living room.
Indeed. Until next time, this has been Building Humans. Our motto, as always, host speaker and expert speaker. Love for all, service for everyone.